How did you move from sort of the rep role into management to now, like, the global leadership role, right? Or like where you're not just managing the quota or your own book, right? It's you're a manager of managers, and now you're manager of reps, and then a manager of managers. How did you find that transition?
I would tell you, I was asked this not that recently, and I had to think about it, and I was like, um, I myself, that I was been very, very, very lucky to work for a lot of great managers before me, who allowed me to exceed and really have amazing W-2s, right? So there was a point in period in time where you say, how many more times can I be? And I say this, and I feel weird saying it. So you're like, how many more times can I be in the top five or the number one guy? And so you get bored, right? You're like, okay, I know exactly what it's going to take to be number one, right? And fortunate in a couple different companies where those W-2s can reach pretty high, right? And so it was at actually one company where they had said, oh, no one's ever done this before, and this kind of patch and everything else, and came in and then became number one globally, right? In a global company. I think they were the number three global software company at the time. And that was like, so I was like, all right. And then they were like, hey, as after the acquisition, and that company got acquired, and I was there after the acquisition, they went and they had me go do training. And I find I really, 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 really enjoyed training
Hmm.
because I really liked telling people like, okay, let's sit down and see what you're doing, and let's see how we can be better. And so, I liked it so much that I was like, if there's a spot that does open up, I would love to have a spot. And so I got a chance to run a team at Symantec, and then never look back.
Hmm.
And then it's about once you start doing that, it's like you learn a lot, which you're not good at, and but this is really like you have. So in sales, the hardest part in the entire world is about giving up your wallet, because when you move into management,
Your
I
wallet,
know you're gonna
in terms of like
see
your.
when you're a sales guy, not the funny thing is, in any other career path, moving into management's a good thing because eventually sometimes you top out, right? And you've got to move around to manage people. And especially for like coding and a lot of other things, the more people you manage, the higher up you get, the more money you get, more stock options, everything else, right? In sales, literally your IC, your individual salespeople can make more money than the CEO and a lot of other people. And so it's a really, really difficult W-2 to leave. But you have to say like, hey, am I really happy doing this? And so I was like, no, I'm not as happy as I am training people, and I had a lot more fun going around training people than it is. So in sales, you give up a lot to move into management, and it's a very, 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 very difficult thing when you see people making so much more money
I
than
could have
most.
done that. That could
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
why,
right.
but
But it's also the number one reason bad thing sales managers do is we hire a bunch of people who are really good at sales, but they were lousy coaches. And
hmm.
they were, you didn't look at them the right way to say, can this person be a really good coach? And it's hard because as a go-to-market person and as an AE, you're trained to be a lone wolf. And now you got to go from lone wolf to how can I herd a pack? And then how can I herd cats? Right.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
the higher up you go, the harder it gets.
yeah.
And the more your wallet gets split by now 60, 30, 100 people, for them to pull them along the way. So, but I found immense joy in it. I still do. I just really like helping people. And I realized when I sat down, and you do self analysis, two things. One is I wanted to be really good at something else after sales. And then two, I found out that, in sales, what was the core thing that I really liked was helping people. And so that same kind of passion that I had about helping my clients make sure that they were making good decisions was the same thing I have now in helping companies hopefully make good decisions. And then hopefully we all get to the same place.
Yeah, and it seems like so the trade you're basically making is short term cash for long term equity, right?
Yeah, you're going up to the big guys table, right? It's like, in poker, you're now walking into the back room, right?
And
Where
bets.
where the whales play, right? So
Yeah.
it's a big hit or miss, right? So one of the big things that you get is if you hit really, really well, you walk away and you retire early, right? But I remind people, 80, 90% of the companies don't even get past 75, right? So not all of them are going to be smash hits. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Again, this is where hopefully though, if you like the culture of it, one of the dreams I always had was if I could be a good widget for a VC. At that time, there weren't PEs involved, but if I could be a really good widget, then I would probably always be able to get a good job. And so, if you can help scale companies and you can do it effectively, with decent cost savings, then they keep you around a little bit longer. They let you get gray hair like me.
Well, it's you're not alone.